Okay, exercise 904 is on quartiles, deciles and percentiles. So these collectively are referred to as quantiles. So a quartile divides data into 4 equal parts, deciles into 10, and percentiles into 100 equal parts. From quartiles, we can get what's called a box plot or a box and whisker plot. So we divide the data into 4 equal pieces. We've got the minimum and the maximum scores. And then we've got quartile 1, 2 and 3. Quartile 2 is actually the median. Quartile 1 is halfway between the median and the minimum, and quartile 3 is halfway between the median and the maximum. So what ends up happening, say these were test scores for example, 25% of the students got a score between 4 and 7. 25 of them got between 7 and 10, 25% of them got between 10 and 11, and 25% between 11 and 13. So collectively those scores are called the 5-number summary. So let's do a few examples on the 5-number summary and box plots. So firstly, if we've just got a list of data, so there are 9 scores here. So the 5th one is the median, and I'm going to circle that. Always work from the middle out. Once that one is circled, we find the median of what's below that one. Now, if that was a vertical line between 2 scores, it would just be halfway below the vertical line. So the median of these scores is between the 3 and the 3. The median of these scores is between the 5 and the 6. The minimum is 1, the maximum is 7. So quartile 2, the median is 4. Quartile 1, 3. Quartile 3, 5.5. The minimum was 1, the maximum was 7. I'm going to write those into a list of the 5-number summary. So it went 1, 3, 4, 5.5 and 7, and then we can put them into a box and whisker plot. So we put dots at the 1 and the 7, so a dot at 1 and a dot at 7, and vertical lines at the other 3 points. So at 3, notice the dot is right in the middle of my vertical line, a line at 4 and a line at 5.5. We then join the dot to the middle of that line, that dot at that end to the middle there. Those are our whiskers, and then we join up the box in the middle. So that's a box and whisker plot. Just put a little X there. Okay, in example 2, we have a frequency distribution table that we're working from. So there are 34 scores here. The sum of the frequencies is 34. So the location of the median is halfway between the 17th and 18th score. So the median is 6. Now that median divides the data into 2 groups of 17. So the location of quartile 1, again we can do 17 plus 1 over 2. So it's the 9th score. So 1 plus 3, 4 scores so far. It's in here somewhere, so it's a 5. The quartile 3 location, it's going to be the 9th score from the top. So 9th from the top. So we've got 2 and 2 make 4. It's in here somewhere. It's a 7. Okay, so the 5-number summary, let's put the 5 and the 7 in there. I've already put the minimum, the median and the maximum in. I've already put the minimum, the maximum and the median on my graph. Let's just mark the 5 and the 7. So 5 and 7. It's a fairly symmetrical box and whisker plot. It's got a longer length down here, but it's fairly symmetrical. Now just a calculator tip, you can find your 5-number summary in your calculator. Once the data's in and you've pressed AC, shift 1 for statistics, and then 6 says min and max. You can choose any option from 1 to 5 depending on which one of those statistics that you want to find. Okay, in this example, we've got a cumulative frequency graph. So we're going to find the 5-number summary from here. So our data set goes 3, 4, 5, 6. So our minimum is a 3. Our maximum is a 6. There were 50 scores, so at 25 I go across and down to the 5. Now something interesting happens here. Our upper quartile, you can see going across 12.5 from 50. So half of 25 is 12.5. We're still in the 5. So our upper quartile and our median are actually the same number, so it's going to make our box and whisker plot a bit unusual. Our lower quartile is 12.5 from the bottom, so that's 4. Now, in real life, your data probably would be a lot more of a bigger range, or maybe this graph wouldn't be the most appropriate one to use for this kind of data. So let's have a go anyway. So 3 and 6 I've already marked, 4, 5 and 5. So there's 4, has 5 and also 5. So they're in the same place. So my box and whisker plot ends up looking like this. Now, just looking at the graph, you can't determine whether the median was the same as the upper quartile or the lower quartile, but you know it was the same as one of them. You do know that the middle 50% were between 4 and 5, and that's often all we want to know. Okay, for deciles and percentiles, we can just zoom out a little bit. Also do that from a cumulative frequency graph. Now we're asked here to find the 35th percentile. Our data goes up to 32, so we want to find where is 35% of 32, and that's at 11.2. So we get out our ruler and we go straight across from 11.2. A bit tricky to do with my tripod here. Okay, so here's 10, 11's in the middle, just above the middle there, straight across. Oh, we need to go to where our cumulative frequency ogive would be, so to that line there. Didn't draw those on earlier. So straight across there. A little bit fiddly using this, I'll have to find a smaller ruler for next time. Now we can see here this is grouped data 5, 9, 13, 17, 21. So that's class center really there. So each square on my page is a count of 2 because that's 4 all the way. Halfway between, so that would be 14. So the 35th percentile is about 14. The 7th decile, that's just 7/10 of 32. So 0.7 times 32. I need to draw a line across at 22.4. Now, not surprisingly, it's a similar situation to this because the 7th decile is the 70th percentile. Okay, so that was 11.2. Now I'm going 22.4. So 22.4 would be around about there. Oh, again, I haven't got my ogive drawn on. So that would go like that. We're meeting the ogive here, so that's where we go straight down. So it looks like that's around about 20. I will add a little bit of extra working out here before I upload my still shot.